I'm here with Dr. Craig Dunn, who is the Dean of Western's College of Business and Economics. Craig, thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure.
It's really great having you in the studio. So tell us a little bit about what's been going on at CBE.
Well, I'd say that the most exciting things that are going on, as far as I'm concerned, in the college are interdisciplinary.
Okay.
So when you start looking at like the minor in energy studies, it's a collaboration between the College of Science and Engineering and Huxley College of the Environment and the College of Business and Economics. Yeah.
So one of the programs that I've heard about is the business and sustainability major that we've got.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that one.
So that was about probably 4 years in the works. It was interesting to work across colleges and see how we might make that happen. It's 104 to 106 credits, which is quite a few.
That's more than the 72 I needed to graduate. Yes, that's true.
And there are only 7 credits of electives.
Wow.
And that's one of the problems with interdisciplinary work, but it's also what makes it exciting. Right. So it's our full foundation and our full core from the business side. And then quite a few environmental studies courses and a couple environmental science courses.
Business and sustainability, that's about as broad of a title as you can get. I mean, so...
Yeah, I suppose so.
So what would your take on that mean? What would your take on that
Well,
mean?
you know, we've had so many conversations at Western about what does sustainability mean. And from a business standpoint, it's thinking about what are the background conditions that need to exist for a business to be successful. Now, if you think of it that way, well, you're not going to have success in business if you're operating in a war-torn region of the world. Sure. You're not going to have success in business if you're operating in a population that's suffering from famine. So you start thinking about sustainability broadly. It's not just about environmental sustainability or sustaining profitability for the enterprise, though it is about both those things, but it's also about peace and justice and fairness, equity. Those kinds of issues all get wrapped up into sustainability.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never would have thought about that.
Yeah.
So you're partnering with Western's Huxley College of the Environment, which is one of the oldest environmental colleges in
It's
the
probably
world.
the oldest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think one thing that makes it work is, you know, at Western right now, we have 7 academic colleges, and the longest term dean, I believe, is finishing his 4th year.
Yeah.
And so we have some kind of fresh deans, which is pretty cool, I think. And Stephen Hollenhorst, who's the dean of Huxley, and I get along really well. And so we haven't carved out territory for the colleges, but we play well together.
I've heard people say that growing business and being sustainable in a sustainable environment, that can never happen.
I think it has to happen. I mean, if you really do think about the long term, and that's one of the problems we have in business, is that it has a lot to do with the way that we reward managers and executives. So if they're rewarded for quarterly profit performance, it certainly doesn't incentivize a person to think longer term. Where you see some of the gains being made by business are in companies that maybe are privately held and don't need to be so concerned about their quarterly profitability, even though they're concerned about that. Sure. So locally, I mean, a company you might not think of as being interested in sustainability is Saturna Capital. And I mention them because they've recently given us a gift to put in place all the equipment we need to run a lab in Parks Hall in the College of Business and Economics, but they want it themed around sustainability because they realize that long term, the best stock performance is likely to be achieved if you invest in companies that are paying attention to specifically environmental sustainability. Right.
What sets Western's College of Business and Economics different than so many of the other options that are out there?
I think it's the values of the university as a whole that get then built into the values of the college. And those sensibilities get reflected into the College of Business and Economics. Do we teach finance and marketing and accounting and production and management? Sure. And many other disciplines as well. Yes, we do. Are we moving into new fields like business analytics? Yes, we are. That's that core that we have to protect. But beyond that, we realize that not all of our students are going to go into business.
Well, thanks so much for being here.
It's my pleasure to be here.
It
was the most funner thing I've done today.
Well, thanks so much. Really appreciate having you in the studio.
Yeah.
Dr. Craig Dunn, one of Western's fantastic faculty members and also the Dean of Western's College of Business and Economics.
Now I just got to keep this trend of adapting to the readers and figuring out how to tell these stories in a way that makes sense to the people, but also gives them the ability to actually understand the most complex of issues.
I'm electrochemically doping the polymer MEHPPV with the polymerizable ionic liquid ATO-AAS. And so what that means is we're bringing ions into a polymer film, and since these ones are